On Tuesday, November 1st, 2022, my wife and I went over to the Win Home, where the LULAC, or the League of United Latin American Citizens, was sponsoring a Dia de Muertos, or Day of the Dead, celebration here in my hometown, or the city where I live at. It was took place at a facility called the Win Home. You can see they had a nice spread, or quite a bit of food. I know they even had pozole, and here the women, people kind of setting things up. They had 2 altars, or altares, to represent and pay respect to 2 people from this town that had passed away. They couldn't find the original cempasúchil flowers, but they made some out of paper, and this altar has a lot of things that represents the dead person's life, things that they'd like to do, or things that represented them. This gentleman was very well known in the community, and we had another altar over here of a second gentleman from the town that had passed away to honor him. And you can see there's items on his altar. One is a golf club. He was a golfer, liked to play golf. I see there was a basketball. He was a basketball player. And so this was a nice touch. It was put on to help educate the people here in the town that may not know much about Dia de Muertos. Again, you can see a lot of the food that's being set out. And it was a very nice event, very well organized. Here's a mariachi, calavera, in the corner, missing his sombrero. If we go out to this other room, you can see this paper called papel picado. There's kind of like paper cutouts, we may call in English. And there's a display counter, which has a lot of other items for Dia de Muertos, more calaveras or skulls. So we really enjoyed ourselves. It was the second year in a row that we've been able to attend this, and my wife is actually a member of LULAC, so she helped to organize this event, which was very successful. My wife and I dressed up a little bit. She is Frida Kahlo and me as Slim Diego Rivera. And other ladies and people of the community took this as an opportunity to dress up as Catrines or un Catrín.
Presentation for the Day of the Dead. But before she gets started, I wanted to say something. We're trying to do that. We've only done this, I know, this is the 3rd year, I think, that we've done it. And we have a wonderful attendance today. Thank you so much for coming. This is a perfect display for the Day of the Dead, I think. But one of the things that I wanted to say is we want the community more involved in setting up altars. And last year we had 4 community members that set up altars, but we didn't have anybody this year except the two individuals that we're honoring today, Dan Phillips and Gordon Brown. But both of their families are here to talk about a little bit about them when we finish with this. But anyway, we want the community to do it. So please, if next year, just when we do it about a week before this happens, and please come set up an altar for your loved ones. I'm talking, I've never done it for my own. Next year I'm going to do it for my own. But we're always trying to get it from the community. So do I need to say it in Spanish for anybody? Everybody understands English, right? I don't need to repeat it in Spanish. Or if I do, you be quiet, John. Aquí tengo una silla, some chair right here, but I'm going to let Rosa do the presentation now.
Yeah, so welcome, bienvenidos a todos. Thank you for being here. Like she said, I'm Rosa Martinez Ridor, but today I've come back from the dead as Frida Kahlo. So, do y'all know who Frida Kahlo is?
Yes.
Yes?
Painter.
That's right.
Very
and my
famous.
husband is Diego Rivera.
The slim version of Diego.
So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just touch on some key points in terms of Dia de Muertos, and then I'm going to show you a PBS video that is going to be a little more in detail in terms of what that means, okay? First, I want to get started with the name of Dia de Muertos. The correct way is Dia de Muertos, not Dia de los Muertos. Actually, Dia de los Muertos is a translation of Day of the Dead, right? So in English we say Day of the Dead, but in Mexico it's Dia de Muertos, and it means the same thing, right? Okay, so if we could move forward. So it is a celebration of life and love, right? Because our loved ones that have deceased and have gone on, because of them we are who we are. So we love them and we remember them. Therefore, the Day of the Dead, Dia de Muertos, is a time to celebrate with them and invite them to come back to our homes. And so we do certain things so they'll come back, okay? And so it's November 1st. Also, it's November 1st and November 2nd. And because Mexico is so diverse, the people are so diverse, each region celebrates a little bit different. So in most parts of Mexico, on November 1st, the children that have passed on are invited to come back. And then on November 2nd, the adults come back and visit their family members. All right, as we keep going.
And we don't consider it as a mourning period, we consider it as a celebration. So, to celebrate our loved ones, we want to see them again in spirit.
So in pre-Hispanic times, Dia de los Muertos is a collaboration of what the indigenous people, how they celebrated the death of their family members, and then Catholicism. When the Spaniards came to the United States, they brought with them, of course, Christianity, but the indigenous people did not forget their traditions, so it's a collaboration, if you will, of both traditions. Okay? All right, so the origin of, so the indigenous people, and this is a list of indigenous people at the time, they celebrated the death of their relatives as in terms of a celebration, wanting them to come back to revisit and be a part of their life in November 1st and 2nd. Well, actually, it was in July, May that they did that. Okay? Go ahead. So their vision implies that it's a transitory return. So it's a transition from being dead and then coming back to the world where the families are. All right? So it's a festivity where we decorate the altar, and we also decorate the gravesite as well. Okay? So the altar is called an ofrenda, and there's certain things that we have to place on the ofrenda so that the people that have, our family members that have deceased, they will know where to come back to, right? So all the things that are there are to help them come back to our homes. Alrighty? So these are some of the things that we place on an altar in una ofrenda, and it is part of earth, wind, fire, and water. So we have papel picado, and that is the wind. It represents the wind that is going to blow them back into our homes, down to earth. Pan de muerto is going to nourish them because they might be hungry while on their way when they get here. The candles is the light, and it represents the fire and the spirit to come back to the family. So it lights their way to come back to the family. And the water is there for in case they're thirsty, so to help them with their thirst. The sugar skulls represent our ancestors, and the little sugar skulls, la calavera pequeña, is for children, and the calavera grande, the big one, is for adults. And then the marigolds are the flowers. It represents the sun and eternal life, from death to heaven. Okay? So the food we have, specifically what we put in terms of food is the food that they liked. Whatever our deceased family members, what they liked is the kind of food that we place there. But it's not only for them, but it's also for us as the family that gather to celebrate and to eat together, right? And then we have the pan de muerto, and what that is just a round bread, and on top is we place some dough to represent the bones of the dead. And then we have the calavera, like I said, it's a symbol of the dead and that of our family members. And we decorate them, and we also put the name of the person up here with chocolate or with something else on top of the calavera. And so also this tradition has been, it's been named as UNESCO Cultural Heritage of Humanity in 2008. And that's very important because what happens is that when UNESCO comes in and labels a place, a tradition, as a heritage, what's the name of it? A cultural heritage of humanity, then a lot of people come to visit the area, right? So currently in Mexico City, they have a huge celebration during these days, and a lot of people come now to visit and to see what it's all about, right?
Well, the next day, on November 2nd, 2022, a community ofrenda or altar was put together in an event held by the students at the local university. And here is a video showing the ofrenda. It's 3 levels, which has significance. The 3 levels represent earth, purgatory, and heaven. And as a community ofrenda, members of the community could bring a photo of their loved one who had passed on or who was deceased and place it on the ofrenda so that other people can see them and pay respects to the dead. So this is a very interesting event. The first time I think we've had this in the community. And again, I think this was a very successful event. As you'll see going forward, there was another table or puesto with a tent where they had face painting, but they also had something very interesting. They had sugar skulls, which are very traditional, calaveras, that you could paint yourself. And these sugar skulls can be made of sugar, sometimes chocolate, clay, and they represent our ancestors and their connection to the earth, and they remind us that death is always near us. And they also serve to make fun of death. And also they often carry the name of the family member who provided the altar. And here you can see a young lady decorating her sugar skull. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Something a little bit different we decided to bring to you today. It was just an event that I thought would be good to expose viewers of and those that haven't heard of or know much about Dia de Muertos. So again, hope you enjoyed this video of Learn Everyday English. Hey, we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.